New Chapter 35. But soon with the death of Rhaenys and Visenya Maegor went further into madness. It didn't. Most of his wives died because of the continuous birth attempts or health failures. This caused people began to whisper that Maegor was cursed, and that the gods would never grant him a living son. Maegor was angry at these rumors, so he decided to find a scapegoat, which led to his wife Queen Tyanna being seized and delivered to the dungeons, where she was forced to make a fake confession about having poisoned both Alys's child as Jane's. But interesting thing was Maegor did have two stillborn children. But none of them were his. Out of all of his wives, 4 of them had cheated on him with others. So the stillborn given birth were their attempts to get rid of the baby by poison, since they knew Maegor will kill them if he found out about this. Aegon, seeing how unhinged Maegor was getting, was able to smuggle out Rhaena Targaryen, Viserys Targaryen, Jaehaerys Targaryen and Alysanne Targaryen out of King's Landing into North for safety. While hearing this from his new master of whispers, Maegor was angry, in his paranoid and madness. He blamed Aenys' children in North for the death of his heirs, but this was not the only thing. Maegor for a long time had an eye on the North and Dorne, which he considered a part of his kingdom and wanted to conquer them to show he was better than his father Aegon. It seems every warning Visenya told him about the North went right over his head. So riding Balerion and marching a huge army to North to conquer it. But what waited him there was army twice as huge as his and giant blackish blue-scaled dragon, larger than Balerion. Acknowledgia gave roar that made the army step back and Balerion was cowed down by an alpha dragon. Balerion bowed his head in submission. Maegor was angered by this and order, enough. I am your master and you will obey me. Balerion huffed as if saying make me brat. Balerion only let Maegor fly him because of 2 reasons. 1. The brat was the blood of Aegon, his beloved rider. 2. The brat was stronger than the whiny one. Now the Balerion regretted not choosing the youngest girl. Maegor in his annoyance did the most stupidest thing a man could ever do. He started hitting Balerion with his sword, but this only made Balerion more angry, and with mighty roar, Balerion reared his 2 front feet up in the air, causing Maegor to fall on the ground and completely drenching himself in the mud. While his army quickly ran away, leaving their poor king behind. Aegon sighed, muttered, just like Visenya said, he has no loyal servants or friends to back him. As Maegor got up, he glared at Aegon and yelled, I will burn you and everything you love. Aegon frowned and said, look here brat, I was there when your ancestors the Valyrians were just shepherds, I was there when their whole empire of Valyria was doomed into nothing but ashes, and I will be there when the last sons of Valyria are nothing but ashes and memory. After all this time Maegor's mind rebooted and started working again. As Maegor gulped as if he was now standing in front of someone he shouldn't have angered. Aegon ordered one of the soldiers, take him to Throw Wall, we will keep him prisoner till the end of his days. Aegon decided to keep him alive, but announced the king Maegor died from the fall. He was pretty sure either Viserys or Jaehaerys will take the throne. 15 comments 0 vote. Chapter 36. Aegon was now laying on Arwen's lap and they were on a green hill overlooking the 2 trees of Valinor. Both Laurelin and Telperion were on the mounds of Azelohar. The 2 giant trees, one golden and one silver, shining bright and spreading their light over the land. They both glowed 2 different colors of light together, creating a single day that lasted 12 hours. Telperion is the elder of the 2 trees and has leaves that are dark green on the top and silver underneath. Telperion emitted a silvery-hued light. It is also described as having many flowers and casting a beautiful shadow on the ground as a reflection of his shining leaves. While Laurelin, the younger of the 2 trees, has young green like the new open beach, the leaves with edges of glittering gold, with yellow flowers in the shape of horns. Laurelin's light was golden, it was also much warmer than Telperion's, similar to the warm glow of sunlight. Arwen was lovingly caressing her hands through Aegon's hair, when she asked, so why did they chose to be the next king? Aegon sighed and replied, Jaehaerys is chosen, the oldest Viserys declined the rights to the throne, saying he was disgusted sitting on the Iron Throne and saying it was cursed. He seems to not want to be associated with it. Arwen gave sad smile and asked, have you gone to meet Aegon, Rhaenys and Visenya in the halls of Mandos? Aegon nodded and replied, yes, they are saddened by hearing the fate of their children. But they are slowly moving on from there. Mandos seems to give them an option to live in Valinor. I am not sure if they will take it or not. Arwen nodded and both were content with enjoying their time together. Aegon had found out that the halls of Mandos, which was a place that hold the souls of the dead children of Iluvatar and are the dwelling place of Mandos. Unlike LOTR world where humans were given a gift of a LOTR. But here the humans don't have such gift. As Telperion and Laurelin's light only primarily projected across Valinor itself, Aragon asked, "What do you think of Jaehaerys?" Arwen hummed and replied, "He is intelligent and kind, therefore would become a great king. Also Gandalf will be there to guide him." Aragon sighed agreeing with that assessment since he remembered Jaehaerys was considered the wisest Targaryen king to sit on the Iron Throne. Just as the original timeline Jaehaerys made 6 kingdoms would thrive under his reign, King Jaehaerys reigned over nearly 60 years being the longest ruling Targaryen monarch. Because of this, he is referred to as the Old King. His reign is remembered as the most prosperous period in the history of the Targaryen monarchy. His rule brought peace, stability, and justice to the 7 kingdoms, but tragedy would strike as both his sons with Aemon dying Aemon and Ballion during an assault on the Myrish pirates. Jaehaerys himself lit the pyre of his son. So House of Dragons is going to start after this, but a short break for me. 16 comments 0 vote. Chapter Viserys Targaryen. As time went on Jaehaerys became old and he decided to choose a successor for his throne, who was Viserys Targaryen. The problem was Viserys was well known to be easily swayed like his great-grandfather Aenys. Aragon and Gandalf believed Rhaenys daughter of Aemon to be a better ruler, but girls becoming queens was not widely accepted in the 6 kingdoms. Rhaenys was a great beauty and she was a clever, capable, spirited, proud, fierce and fearless woman. She had a fiery temperament. While Viserys was amiable, open-handed and eager to please. Viserys' reign was stable because of the support from many, who followed Jaehaerys' rule and his only daughter was Rhaenyra was the only living child of King Viserys the First Targaryen by his wife, Lady Aemma of House Arryn. Aemma is originally from House Arryn, and married Prince Viserys. She is half Targaryen on her mother's side, and thus has Valyrian silver hair. Her mother, Daela, was a younger sister of Viserys' father Baelon, making them first cousins. After producing the healthy daughter Rhaenyra, Aemma went on to have 1 child who died in the cradle, 2 stillbirths, and 2 miscarriages, 5 failed attempts in 10 years at producing a healthy male heir for Viserys. Aragon and Gandalf warned them to not keep trying, but the warning went unheeded as Aemma felt duty-bound to keep trying, and became pregnant for a 7th time with a child that Viserys was convinced by a prophetic dream would be his male successor. Also their daughter Rhaenyra became a dragon rider at the age of 7, when she flew into the sky on the back of a young dragon, whom she named Syrax. At a young age, Rhaenyra had a crush on Aragon after her meeting with him in Middle-earth and she was taught by Aragon and Gandalf upon Viserys' request. But both of them didn't agree with this at the time, but they tested her and the girl proved to be really sharp and capable. So they started teaching her, she proved herself and a year later, when she was 8, Rhaenyra became a cupbearer for her father, serving him at the table, at tourneys, and at court. From that point onward, King Viserys was seldom seen without Rhaenyra. Also during that time Otto Hightower was Viserys' hand of the king and just like Aragon and Gandalf thought, Viserys was influenced by Otto easily. Otto changed Daemon from holding any position of power like Master of Laws or even Master of Coin. Aragon and Gandalf had heard this and both of them couldn't help but sigh in disappointment. As Aragon said, Otto can't manipulate Daemon like how he does Viserys. Daemon had seen this happen far too many times to fall for that. Thus Otto feels upon Daemon ascending the throne, he will lose the control he has now. Gandalf, who was smoking his pipe, replied, "True, Viserys now strained his relationship with his brother because of this." Aragon knew there was sentiment among some of the members that Princess Rhaenys should have taken the throne, not Viserys. As people are not happy with Viserys bending to Otto's demands so easily, especially Daemon, who while known as Rogue Prince was still well liked became of his charisma and sharp mind. Unlike original timeline where Queen was unknown prospect, here North has seen 2 queens, both of them were had made North prosper during their time. So some in the 6 kingdoms are slowly warming up to the whole thing. 14 comments 0 vote. Pissed. Download the app for additional rewards. More events, more perks. Winning you more free perks. Download now. Just _for fun 1997. Download app now. I have doubts. Had someone being poisoning Rhaenyra's mother, I mean the number of children she lost is too much of coincidence. This is just a guess, either it is Daemon or someone else. 19 comments 0 vote. Rhaenyra and Aragon. Rhaenyra mentality was different from the original timeline, like she wanted to be the queen because she wanted to leave mark in history and wanted to be recognized. But now she didn't find any interest in it. Also she was friends with Alicent Hightower and her crush on Aragon was hidden pretty well, so no one really knew about it. Also she never told this to her best friend after being trained by Aragon she was told that even meaningless gossip could be used against you. So she had some guard against even her friend, since she was well aware of the political situation in the kingdom. Like Otto Hightower, the hand of the king has been pushing the Viserys heir and complaining whenever he holds any position of power. She is told by Aragon that Daemon hated Otto because the man tried use his silver tongue to get into his good side only to fail. So Otto has been trying to undermine Daemon for long time. So after her morning ride on Syrax, she was going to see her mother when she saw Aragon. So she quickly ran to join him and asked, "Are you going to see mother?" Aragon chuckled, he found it amusing that Rhaenyra behaved like noble lady around other. But around him and Gandalf she behaved like a normal teenager. So Aragon smiled and replied, "Yes, I have to check on her health after all." Rhaenyra nodded slightly sad smile having remembered how many brothers and sisters she had lost, while Aragon after the fourth loss was able to get better healer from the north to look after Emma. Aragon changed the topic, so how was he morning dragon ride? Rhaenyra with huge smile replied, "It felt so freeing, away from all the restrictions and troubles of the castle." Aragon nodded many just saw her the Rhaenyra the Targaryen princess, but Aragon saw just little girl who wanted to free and recognized for her abilities. While they soon reached Emma's room, she was laying on her bed with healer checking her and even Maester was nearby. While Aragon noticed the Maester looking at the healer with great contempt, but soon schooled his features. Emma smiled seeing her daughter and gave nod to Aragon who asked the healer, "How is she?" The healer names Nadia with scowl replied with low tone, "Some of the medications given to her are not really good." Aragon narrowed his eyes and looked slightly at the Maester, who was checking Emma. Aragon then walked to Emma, who was slightly weak from the new medications and with smile asked, "How are you feeling?" Emma gave a small smile and replied, "Weak." Aragon sighed and replied, "I will make sure Gandalf will be here during the birth, just to be in the safe side." Emma chuckled hearing that, while she knew Aragon saw her as great friend and is protective of that. Emma nodded and said, "That would make my heart worry a little less." Aragon posted a few elven guards and some of the best warriors from the north to be clear. I have question. I am planning to save Emma and her son, but in doing so won't Alicent not become Viserys' wife and Dance of Dragons would be harder to make or should I make the child a girl and Emma is shocked that Viserys even when she begged tried to do the C-section thus creating a rift between the wife and husband. 8 comments 0 vote. Question. I saw comments about making Alicent part of the harem. I don't know about this, she was pure girl at the start. But with time she started become bitter after all she had become a wife or useless old man. Now another question was how should Dance of the Dragons happen? I mean it could be Daemon against Viserys, but then Alicent would have to become Viserys' wife like Emma was traumatized by the experience went back to Vale. Also maybe her child died too. At that time Viserys cheats with Alicent, since in particular scene with Otto and Alicent, the talk between them was subtly pointing out they have been sleeping with each other for a while. 11 comments 0 vote. The start of issues. A council meeting was called and Aragon had an Haneri position and it doesn't hold much value. But his advice was definitely valued, while Sir Otto Hightower is hand of the king. Grand Maester was Mellows. Master of Coin was Lord Lyman Beesbury. Master of Laws was Lord Lionel Strong. Master of Whisperers is Lord Larry Strong. Commander of the Kingsguard is Sir Ryam Redwyn. Corys Velaryon spoke up, "My lords. The growing alliance among the free cities has taken to styling itself, the Triarchy. They have massed on Bloodstone and are presently ridding the Stepstones of its pirate infestation." King Viserys with smile replied, "Well, that sounds suspiciously like good news, Lord Curlees." Aragon hearing this felt he should really smack this idiot. This idiot didn't understand how strong this group was, since they were able to clear Stepstones of pirates so quickly. Also he seems to forget that the Stepstone Islands are a key trade route for Westeros, east of Dorne and west of Essos. They're monitored by the Triarchy, which is an alliance of 3 of the free cities, Myr, Lee, and Tyrosh. The fact Curlees lost 4 ships to this crabfeeder itself shows the man doesn't fear Westeros and seems to have the power to go to war with them. Viserys was a fool who wants to ignore all the signs of possible war and put his head in the sand. Aragon with a groan thought, why didn't I push for Rhaenys to be queen? This was not only his sentiment, but many had similar idea after they saw some blunders done by Viserys. Some say he was the second coming of Aenys. Kurlees ignored that and continued, a man called Kragas Drahar has styled himself the Prince Admiral of this triarchy. They call him, the Crabfeeder, due to his inventive methods of punishing his enemies. King Viserys with smile and sarcastically asked, are we meant to weep for dead pirates? Lord Kurlees with fake smile replied, no, your grace. Lord Kurlees saw Aragon gesture, they would talk about this. This made him sigh in relief, because his house facing a lot of issues because of Kragas Drahar was overstepping his territory. While Aragon saw Rhaenyra enter the room, she was slightly worried and gave Aragon a smile. While Viserys with small frown said, Rhaenyra, you're late. The king's cupbearer must not be late. Leaves people wanting for cups. Rhaenyra went to her father, kissing his cheek and said, I was visiting mother. Viserys noticed the scent asked, on Dragonback. While Rhaenyra just gave shrug and went to do her duty as cupbearer. Lyman Beesbury decided to talk about another issue. Your Grace, at Prince Daemon's urging, the crown has invested significant capital in the retraining and re-equipping of his city watch. I thought you might urge your brother to fill his seat on the council and provide an assessment of his progress as commander of the watch. Viserys now turned to Lyman and asked, do you think Daemon is distracted by his present tasks? And that his thoughts and energies are occupied? Lyman knew he was slightly overstepping his boundaries, so he decided to step back and say, one would hope so, considering the associated costs. Viserys smiled and replied, then let us all consider your gold well invested, Lord Beesbury. Lord Kurlees decided to give Viserys another chance and said, I would urge that you not allow this triarchy much latitude in the stepstones, your grace. If those shipping lanes should fall, it will beggar our ports. Aragon nodded understanding his concerns. After all, Sir Kurlees not only oversees the royal fleet, his house provides it. And he knows better than anyone that if the stepstones and their shipping lanes fall into the wrong hands it could beggar every trader in the realm. None more than him. No ship will be able to pass by or even near the islands without paying a hefty price to Kragas, whether the cost comes in gold or lost ships. But he was cut off by Otto. The crown has heard your report, Lord Kurlees, and takes it under advisement. Shall we discuss the heirs tournament, your grace? Viserys smiled this time and replied, I will be delighted. Will the Maesters' name day prediction hold, Mellows? Kurlees sighed in disappointment. While Mellows was the Maesters incompetent with healing Enma, if not for healer Nadia everything could have been terrible, while Mellows said, you must understand that these things are mere estimations, my king, but we have all been poring over the moon charts, and we feel that our forecast is as accurate as it can be. Viserys nodded, while Aragon knew Viserys placed lot of faith on the Maesters because of his friendship with Otto Hightower. So not matter what he said, Viserys would just tell the Maester to focus or he will blame it on old age. Lyman spoke up, the cost of the tournament is not negligible. Perhaps we might delay until the child is in hand. Most of the lords and knights are certainly on their way to King's Landing already. To turn them back now. But Viserys could in, the tourney will take the better part of a week. Before the games are over, my son will be born, and the whole realm will celebrate. Grand Maester Mellows was slightly worried said, we have no way of predicting the sex of the child. Of course, no maesters capable of rendering an opinion free of conditions, are they now? Aragon added, your forgot healer from the north is by Emma's side. Grand Maester Mellows looked as if he had swallowed a lemon and said, healer Nadia is very helpful. Viserys clapping his hands causing everyone's attention to focus on him, while saying, there's a boy in the queen's belly. I know it. And my heir will soon put all of this damnable hand-wringing to rest himself. 8 comments 0 vote. Meeting with Daemon and Kurlees. A.N. Alicent Hightower is complex character, she was pushed into Oldman arms by her own father. She seems to be a pawn for her father's games, while her sons are slightly annoying. I mean Aegon doesn't want the throne, but seems to pressured by Alicent, while Aemond is more bold and calculating, but both brothers are easy to anger and unforgiving. Aragon was now in a meeting with Lord Kurlees Velaryon and Daemon, both of them sitting opposite to Aragon. Lord Kurlees spoke up, I am already having issues with Kragas and my house is suffering for it. While the king ignores my pleas. Daemon's slightly apologetic tone replied, I am sorry for what my brother did. Kurlees waved it off for now, but he will not fight the slight by Viserys. After all, Velaryons have supported the Targaryens for so long and Viserys not even taking a look at their problems is very disappointing and enraging. Aragon spoke up, the issue with Kragas is something that must be dealt with quickly. That's why I brought you two here, Daemon can provide you the support. Demon was curious asked, so you are going to provide us with weapons and some of your men from what I am guessing. Aragon nodded and replied, yes, this matter does just affect you, this would affect North as well. Ever since the Triarchy invaded and occupied the Stepstones. At first, their intention was to merely charge merchants for passage, which everyone gladly paid in return for protection. But now, under the leadership of the warlord named Kragas Crabfeeder, the Triarchy begins to taunt and provoke the Six Kingdoms, feeding the sailors and merchants of Westerosi ships to crabs on the shores of the Stepstones. Many ships were lost to Crabfeeder, including a few flying the Velaryon banner. Also they are increasing the charge with time, which was not a good thing as Aragon spoke to Curlees. I am sure a warning from North and Middle Earth will make the Triarchy back up for a while, which will make sure to provide you with time to get the army ready. Demon and Curlees agreed, since they knew the weight Middle Earth's name carried. Also Aragon remembered a certain issue and looking at Demon said, I found the rumor mongers, who has been making rumors about you being the second coming of Maegor and stuff. Demon was now serious asked, let me guess, it was Otto. Aragon nodded and replied, yes, he seems to have made it mission to cause trouble for you. Demon with frown and said, that bastard was sucking up to me like he did with Viserys, but I bluntly told him to walk away. It seems to have angered him. Aragon hummed understanding the situation and said, you know sooner this issue with Crabfeeder is dealt with the better. Demon nodded, while the interesting thing is Demon was not hungry for the throne like original timeline. He was only doing his duty as the heir to throne for now. Demon was even ready to step down if Viserys had son. But his relationship with his brother is slightly strained because of Otto. While Aragon knew chances are Viserys' decisions to ignore this issue will be questioned again. Just like how Demon is called Maegor's second coming in the rumors, he is called Aenys' second coming. 8 comments 0 vote. Notice. I know some are angry with me giving MC a Haneri position in the council. I even saw some called him a dog from the north. I didn't think it that way. I mean MC knows the dance of the dragons in very important incident and because of his close relationship with Aemma and Rhaenyra, he accepted the Haneri position in the council to provide them with help, wherever he can. Also Alicent's children except Helaena Targaryen will be annoying. Also Vhagar the dragon of Visenya was bonded with Lena Targaryen daughter of Aegon and Rhaenys, their bond was too strong that even after Lena death Vhagar wouldn't bond with anyone. So basically Aemond won't be bonded with Vhagar like the canon. 11 comments 0 vote. Chapter after council meeting. Aragon was with Rhaenyra, who was happy to tell him about his studies with Gandalf. It is great and all, but sometimes it gets boring. Aragon understood where she was coming from, while Rhaenyra continued, also Alicent has been coming around lately. Rhaenyra was not a fool having mentored by Aragon and Gandalf, she picked up the fact Alicent was just a pawn in her father's game to get close to Targaryen family. After all he did the something with Jaehaerys, when the man was not well and even her father danced to his tune. Rhaenyra knew the only one who didn't was her uncle Demon, but that even brought issues like the Otto Hightower has been trying to go against her uncle in every turn. Rhaenyra looked at Aragon and said, Alicent has been asking a lot of questions lately, if I like someone or not. Rhaenyra was slightly guarded about this, because she was pretty sure Alicent would go tell her father about this. She couldn't technically blame Alicent, since the girl is pretty much just a pawn for her father. The poor girl wouldn't even know she is being used as spy by her own father. After all, subtle questions here and there by Otto about what they did would be enough to make Alicent tell about what they discussed. Aragon hummed and thought, chances or rumors would spread about Rhaenyra, if she ever become a threat to Otto's ambitions, just like there are rumors about Demon spreading a lot. Aragon decided to change topic asked, I heard your uncle is really bringing down THR crime rate in King's Landing. Rhaenyra nodded and replied, he is, but his methods could be considered slightly extreme. Aragon slightly agreed with her and replied, but you have to remember all the lords are coming to see Heirs tournament, so should something happen everything will fall on your father's head. So Demon is doing the best to make sure nothing happens. But Aragon was sure Otto was going to make an issue of this by calling a council meeting soon. Rhaenyra agreed and asked, also have you heard of Uncle Demon's wife? I mean she rarely visits him and my uncle rarely goes to Vale. Aragon sighed and replied, your uncle and his wife Rhea Royce doesn't get along. They have issues and from what I understand Demon is trying to rescind their marriage, which she is against it. Rhea Royce was married to Demon for a while now, it was obvious both hates each other and expect for Viserys everyone could see this, Viserys seemed to be under the impression that if Demon puts effort into the relationship everything will work out. Also Demon always called Rhea a bronze bitch, which was mainly because Rhea was found cheating with Knight and Demon decided do the same by taking a prostitute and slave named Mysaria to be his lover. Mysaria is a brothel proprietor, information broker, and under the alias White Worm, she leads a network of spies and informants active in King's Landing. Aragon could understand why Rhea or her family didn't want to rescind the marriage. After all, Demon was still a prince with a lot of influence, and it also didn't help the fact they didn't even consummate their marriage, as both disliked each other. Rhaenyra only met Rhea a couple of times, and in those meetings, she found Rhea to be too much of stick in the mud. 6 comments 0 vote. Chapter 42. Aragon was once again going to a council meeting. It wasn't that he liked these meetings, instead it was the fact he could annoy Otto Hightower. While walking towards the meeting room, Aragon came across Curlise, who gave smile and asked, "I am guessing you will be joining us for the meeting as well." Aragon smirked and replied, "Of course, I like messing with Otto so much." Curlise was amused, both of them didn't have any love for Otto. While Curlise asked, "So do you know what this meeting is supposed to be?" "I mean, only thing I got was that Otto was the one who called for this." Aragon sighed and replied, "You know how Demon is rounding up thugs and rouges with his new place as the captain of the city watch. I think Otto wants to use Demon's rough treatment against him." Curlise always knew Otto was a snake, while seeing the angle replied, "But what he did was necessary. I mean, the heirs tournament is approaching and many lords will be there, so these thugs and rouges couldn't be allowed to just roam and cause issues like before." Aragon nodded and replied, "I agree, but Otto, while smart, is also the man is arrogant and he has slight tunnel vision towards those that he considers his rival or enemy." Aragon saw Otto and Viserys enter the chamber. While Otto was complaining, it was an unprecedented roundup of criminals of every ilk. "Your brother made a public show of it, meting out the summary judgments himself. I'm told they needed a 2-horse cart to haul away the resulting dismemberments when it was done." King Viserys sighs and said, "Gods be good." While going to their respective seats, Otto added, "The prince cannot be allowed to act with this kind of unchecked impunity." But Otto stopped, as Viserys looked at Demon wearing his armor and blood was on his face. Demon smiled and greeted, "Brother." Viserys nodded and greeted back, "Demon." Demon then looked at Otto and said, "Carry on. You were saying something about my impunity." Otto with a frown said, "You were to explain your doings with the city watch. Your new, gold cloaks, made quite the impression last night, didn't they?" Demon questions, "Did they?" Otto was not amused, said, "The city watch is not a sword to be wielded at your whim. They're an extension of the crown." Demon turned to Lord Strong and asked, "The watch was enforcing the crown's laws. Wouldn't you agree, Lord Strong?" Lord Strong was a man of Otto didn't want to go against him, but at the same time was afraid of going against Demon, so he replied, "My prince, I don't think." Otto cut in, "Making a public spectacle of wanton brutality is hardly in line with our laws." Demon now turned serious, replied, "Nobles from every corner of the realm are right now descending upon King's Landing for my brother's tourney. You want them mugged, raped, murdered. You mightn't know this unless you left the safety of the Red Keep, but much of King's Landing is seen by the small folk as lawless and terrifying. Our city should be safe for all its people." Aragon, seeing the tense atmosphere, added, "While slightly extreme, this measures is needed as the rouges and thugs were running in King's Landing without fear before, and should something happen to the lords or their family coming to see the heirs tournament, everything would have fallen on Crown's head, but Otto is feeling so bad for these rouges, go and make an announcement telling you will be responsible if any such incident," Demon said, happens. Otto bit his tongue and couldn't say anything against this, while Lord Curlise nodded and said, "I agree with King Aragon and Demon. We installed Prince Demon as commander to promote law and order. The criminal element should fear the city watch." Demon gave both Aragon and Corley a smile and said, "Thank you for your support, Lord Curlise and Aragon." Viserys knew what Otto was trying and decided this was enough, spoke up, "I just hope you don't have to maim half of my city to achieve this. Time will tell." Otto decided to take another angel. He looked at Demon and said, "If only the prince would show the same devotion to his lady wife as he does his work, your grace. You've not been seen in the Vale or at Runestone for quite some time." Demon didn't mind it at all and replied, "Think my bronze bitch is happier for my absence." Otto with slight righteousness said, "Lady Rhea is your wife. A good and honorable lady of the Vale." But this time Viserys, Demon and Curlise looked at Otto as if he had grown a second head, as Aragon sighed and said, "Lord Hightower, it seems you have not been updated about Lady Rhea being caught sleeping with another man." Otto was stumped hearing this, while Viserys nodded and said, That's why I am thinking of allowing Demon's marriage to Lady Rhea be disavowed. Also Otto, this council has, at great expense, bettered the city watch to your exacting standards. Enforce my laws, but understand. Any further performances like last night's will be answered. Demon nodded and replied, understood, your grace. While Viserys was tried from all this spoke, King's Landing has been in decline since my grandmother passed. In the end, this new city watch might be a good thing. 14 comments 0 vote. Chapter Death of a Prince Draft. Viserys was now next to his wife Emma, who was smiling at him. Both talked a lot about their son's future. But Mellows soon brought Viserys to the side and said, Your Grace. If you would. During a difficult birth, it sometimes becomes necessary for the father to make an impossible choice. Well, speak it. To sacrifice one. Or to lose them both. There is a chance that we can save the child. A technique is taught at the Citadel, which involves cutting directly into the womb to free the infant. But the resulting blood loss. Viserys was shocked. Cut in, 7 hells, Mellows. Viserys looked around for Nadia and not seeing her was confused asked, Where is Nadia? Mellows deflected this question and said, You can save the child. We must either act now or leave it with the gods. Viserys looked at his wife, while Mellows decided to pressure him some more asking, Yes. An attendant who was really loyal and close to the queen ran to get healer Nadia. While Viserys nodded, while he went next to Emma holding her hand and said, They're going to bring the babe out now. I love you. Ooh. But Emma could tell something was amiss, because suddenly the attendants grabbed her hands and hands holding her down. Emma questioned, What is happening? Viserys muttered a no, it's all right. Emma was now getting scared asked, No. What is happening? Viserys, what? Viserys was muttering in loop saying no, it's all right. They're going to bring the babe out. Em was confused asked, How are they? Emma then saw the knife and in fear yelled, No. 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 No, no, no. Viserys, no. Please. No, no, no. Mellows now did the procedure. If not for Nadia nursing Emma's body back to health, she would have died from the pain and shock. That's when Nadia rushed in. She was angry. The due date for the birth was not even today and Mellows dared tried to take the baby out. Nadia yelled, Stop, it will kill the queen and child. Viserys was shocked, but Nadia quickly got started healing the queen, who was bleeding a lot. Also Nadia had to use the medication from Middle-earth to slightly help her heal faster. Nadia sighed seeing the Emma was asleep, while Mellows was comforting the king by telling him has new heir. But the prince didn't last long and died, it was shock. Nadia was angry, went to Mellows and asked him, Mellows, if I remember correctly the child wasn't even due today and we discussed about not doing the incision. Viserys heard everything, looked at Nadia and asked, What do you mean by that? Nadia sighed and replied, The child wasn't due to be at least next 53 days, sire. Also I had informed Grand Maester Mellows that taking the child out with incision would cause the child's death and if not for us nursing Queen Emma she would have died too. Mellows was sweating up a storm seeing Viserys glare at him. Mellows was hoping Nadia wouldn't have come, so the queen and prince died together. This was not going as planned. Also Mellows was planning to threatening Nadia and maybe even silence her, but he did expect her to come and talk about this so loudly. Mellows with strained tone said, That's a lie, your majesty. Nadia gestured towards some of the attendants and said, They were here, when I told you about this. Mellows gulped in fear. Viserys ordered, Guards, take him to the dungeons. The guards came and grabbed Mellows, who was pleading, Sire. I was mistaken, I really wanted the best of the realm. Nadia told the king to wait in the next room, since they still have to make sure the queen's health stays stable. While Viserys soon walked to the next room to mourn his son and when he saw Nadia enter the room asked, How is Emma? Nadia replied, She will need rest, but. Viserys seeing the girl was hesitant to speak, so he gestured her to speak freely. Nadia sighed and replied, What happened here today would undoubtedly leave a mental scar on Queen's mind and it would be best for you, sire, to not visit her for a while. Viserys was shocked hearing this, but just when his anger was about to get the best of him. Nadia spoke up, Sire, she was held down while her womb was cut open and no one heard her plea that itself will be cause mental scars, but now she also lost her child. Viserys hearing her reasons, now slumped into the chair and Nadia's words would come true. Emma upon waking up was distraught, not only did she lose her child, but her husband ignored her pleas, the whole thing left her traumatic. Emma wanted to be away from King's Landing and Viserys. This was hard blow to Viserys. This wasn't all. Rhaenyra heard about the incident was looking at her father with anger and disappointment. Another issue was Mellows died in the dungeons, but the news still spread and let's just say the incident did raise a few questions about maesters and some wanted to them gone from their lands. Also this was ripple effect since the Citadel tried many methods to either taint or undermine North's way of teaching healer and teachers. But Aragon was not one to take it lying down. He along Saruman released quite a few scandals about boys being raped by maesters and some of these scandals were hidden with the help of Otto himself. So maesters didn't have a great position in people's mind and this scandal just caused more problems for them. I am resting for the next couple of weeks. 13 comments 0 vote. Notice. I am really taking a time out from this fanfic, because I feel burnt out. I have an idea about what to write. 1. Crabfeeder battle. It won't be long, just brief. 2. Demon will marry Lena without many issues. 3. Aemond will lose his hand, leg and one eye with trying to ride Vagar, who is bonded with Lena. 4. The Dance of the Dragons is between Valarian's Demon versus Hightower, Alicent. It would also be more brief and quick. I don't want to take more time with that. It was interesting that in the book although Alicent's children managed to kill Rhaenyra, they lost more because their bloodline, Alicent and Viserys pretty much went dead. 10 comments 0 vote. Download the app for greater interaction. You can chat with me about my writing experience apart from the comments section. Just _for _fun 1997. Download app now. Chapter Morning and Maesters. I just wrote this, since I gave you guys a stupid notice. The pyre for Baelon Targaryen was lit by Syrax. Emma, who was still slightly in pain from the wounds, still went to the funeral to see off her son. Viserys tried to walk towards her, but Gandalf stopped him and shook his head, signaling him to not do it. Which Viserys reluctantly agreed with, while Aragon, Arwen and Rhaenyra were calming a sobbing Emma. While maesters were having problems because of the scandal Mellows caused. The maesters from Citadel with time grew bitter after all these people were second son of lords who were sent here and they had to eschew their familial background and political allegiances. They dropped their family name when they joined the order. It was always younger sons or bastard sons are often made to join the maesters, so as not to interfere with the inheritance of firstborn and or legitimate sons. So most them bitter grew more with them thinking that they were smarter than their older brother who inherited the lord position. Although in North, Reach and Dorne Lord's position has been given to the one with most promise rather than the one who was the oldest. So one of Archmaesters started a project to manipulate the lords into doing what they want. This proved to be a tough task, but with level of trust and influence maesters had, it was proven possible with time. But not all maesters were included in this project and they made sure choose their members carefully. But they were never able to get into Reach, Dorne or North by any means. This irritated them to end and the more they heard about Middle-earth being magical, they wanted it gone like dragons gone, they hated magic. But they were not fools to go after Middle-earth or North, so they tried Targaryens. They tried many methods to do like poisoning the dragon which did nothing. Since Aragon himself sometimes checked them for their conditions, so they were thwarted every time. Now the scandal with the queen made things more difficult, now they had taint that won't go away easily. The conclave meeting was called, which was composed of the assembled archmaesters, the highest-ranking members of the order. Each archmaester carried a ring of a different metal, each symbolizing a different craft. The conclave was the governing body of the citadel and the order of maesters. All meetings of the conclave, which were composed of archmaesters, were confidential in nature and conducted behind closed doors at the citadel. The conclave was responsible for electing the Grand Maester. After reviewing information from maesters throughout the Seven Kingdoms, the conclave also sent forth white ravens to announce the changing of seasons. The conclave was filled to the brim with maesters that hated magic. Many of them were responsible for planning to bring down the Targaryens, they almost managed to do it with Aenys and Maegor. The maester in the gold ring slammed a gavel down, bring the murmuring to a close. I call this meeting to order. Once the murmurs silenced, he began to read their agenda. The first order of business we have to discuss about Mellows. The maester with black iron ring said, reports say the healer for North spotted the issue and discussed it with Mellows. Hearing this archmaester with copper ring replied, which means Mellows was fool to still go ahead with the plan. Maester with iron ring added, yes, but we now have to wait for the heat to die down from this scandal. The archmaester with gold ring replied, it won't be easy, many are already looking us with doubts and all those maesters' scandals does actually fill them with confidence. This will take time to bring our reputation back. But what they didn't know was that someone was listening to their whole conversation, and just weeks into this the citadel caught fire, which was at distance being watched by Aragon and Saruman. Aragon smiled and said, "That magical fire caches you created are looking great." Saruman nodded, looking slightly smug about it. Saruman had been researching a lot about wildfire and was able to create variants of them, like this one looked like normal fire. But they spread faster, and because this couldn't be easily put out. Saruman added, "Those that involved in conspiracy will be dead in fire, we made sure to drug their food. So the fire will finish them off." Aragon nodded and thought, "There will casualties no matter how you take them out." 13 comments 0 vote.